Hello everybody, my name is Jake, Jack of Spades Man Jeff, and with me is my co-coach and good friend, Maeve.
Yeah, yeet.
So we are the coaches of the Boston Red Sox in the Wolfie Sub-Server Draft League Season 1. We're going to do a quick draft overview of what we were originally planning to pick, what we ended up picking, which is on your screen in front of you, and why we picked it, as well as go into some examples of what we may be running this season. Maybe giving away too many details, but I don't care because I'm confident in our abilities to play.
And this is also just a fun league too. Like this isn't like we're not playing for a bunch of money. Like we're doing this for fun. So
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm totally fine with giving up a few trade secrets if we all have a few laughs.
Yeah, definitely a lot of camaraderie. If I had a metronome user on this team, we would have drafted Normalium Z and ran that every week. Because that's my favorite thing next to Z Mirror Move. Do you know what Z Mirror Move does?
Doesn't it just do almost like similar to what Metronome does, where it copies the Z type and Z move strength of the opposing Pokemon that it copies?
Yes, but it also gives you +2 attack before that.
What?
Yeah, it's really funny.
Oofed.
So...
Did anyone actually draft Normalium Z?
No. Even though it's really good, it allows you to use a lot of status moves. I digress. So, just at a glance, our team is Mega Gardevoir, Zygarde, Celebi, Arcanine, Umbreon, Masquerain, Rhydon, Skarmory, Jellicent, female version, Electivire, Pangoro, and we decided to go with the Groundium Z Crystal, which we will explain as we go. So originally, this was our draft plan. We wanted... I kind of fleshed things out because I've played in a few draft leagues and had experience using Pokemon, seen Pokemon be used, and said these are really strong together. So it was actually Mega Scizor, which got sniped, I think, round 1 or 2 from us, which was very upsetting and caused us to have to rebuild the team a bit. Zygarde, Celebi, 2 staples that stuck with us, Alolan Muck, which got taken, Arcanine, Jellicent, Rhydon, all which we got to keep, Zapdos, which we retconned, Aromatisse, which also got retconned, Ditto, which was kind of a filler, and Scrafty, which got sniped and then went through a lot of debate about what we were going to draft, and I kind of freaked out.
Yeah, you almost had me pick our Scrafty substitute, which would have been... Whatever I picked would have been wrong, so...
That's what I said. Whatever you pick's gonna be wrong, but at the same time, whatever you pick's gonna be right.
Yeah, whatever I pick's gonna be wrong, and then it's my fault, so you don't have to answer to it.
So, just at a glance, you can see our Mega got retconned to Mega Gardevoir. Because after we drafted Zygarde, we were like, hey, what about a Fairy type? Because, Maeve actually had an idea. I was like, oh god, we need a new Steel type because we don't have Mega Scizor. What's like a really good one? And she's like, isn't Skarmory good? Like, what was your thought process there?
My thought process was, what about this Steel type? No, that's a fake Steel type, Maeve, we can't pick that one. So then I went through the list and listed about 5 of them. And then you said, oh, that one's really good. And I was like, oh yeah, I thought about that one on purpose. Definitely on purpose.
Yeah, so you used my lingo of a real Steel type.
Well, I was nervous because it was like, Skarmory seems like it could be a fake Steel type, but it was also tier 1 in the draft. So we were like, let's give this one a shot, because maybe it's fake, but it's also tier 1. So, and we had already used our tier 1 Mon turn 1, so Skarmory was a really early extra tier 1 pick.
Yeah. So being that the original idea was Zapdos in my mind for a defogger as well as a good, like, balanced wall, when Maeve said Skarmory in mentioning it, I was like, oh my god, that's brilliant. It fills the same role as Zapdos, albeit less offense, more defense, but being a Steel type with recovery, that's super rare, and Skarmory's typing is just unmatched, other than Celesteal, which has the same type. So when Maeve says a real Steel type, that's kind of a term I made. When I refer to a real Steel type, or a real Grass type, or a real Fairy type, by that I mean it serves its purpose in its typing. So Skarmory is a Pokemon that, as a Steel type, is going to be able to wall things that Steel type should be able to. Things like Cobalion, which can't beat flying types because it has its fighting type, or Bisharp, which is my favorite Pokemon and I've used it in leagues to much success, which takes neutral damage from Fairy type. That's not what you want out of your Steel type. You can have 2 of them. That's fine. But if you only have 1, which is what our plan kind of was, looking at our team, you need one that's going to be able to fit that role correctly. And then Aromatisse was down here as our tier 4, and we decided, hey, Mega Gardevoir is actually a really good pick. And looking at all the other teams in the league, I think Mega Gardevoir is going to do excessively well for us. So Arcanine, Celebi, those all went the same route. Alolan Muck got taken, and I kind of panicked and was like, we don't have a Dark type switch in at all. And then Maeve swooped in yet again.
Did I really? I forget.
Yeah, you
this
did.
bit.
You did.
Wait, did I call Umbreon on this one?
Mm-hmm.
See, this whole draft, it's all thanks to me, guys. I picked every mon on here. I know exactly what they all do. I'm a singles professional.
She's a single professional, boys.
Uh-oh. Yeah, call me.
So, the biggest thing that stuck out when Maeve mentioned Umbreon, not only was the Dark Switch in, which was kind of Aromatisse's role that Gardevoir couldn't fit. Gardevoir, I would kind of say, is not a real fairy, but just because of how hard it hits and its offensive prowess, it definitely serves that role. It's not a defensive fairy type. So,
and we have a lot of defensive mons on our team. Like, we definitely built bulky.
yeah.
So I think having a really strong hitting Mega was a good way to kind of balance out the team.
Yeah, so Umbreon kind of filled the exact same role as Aromatisse. Wish Passer, Cleric, Wall. They both do the same thing. They're just literally opposite types, pretty much. One is the evil type.
And Umbreon has a better shiny, so that's a lot more important.
Yes, absolutely. I love Aromatisse's shiny. Don't get me wrong. But Umbreon shiny, that's cleanliness. So Umbreon definitely fit that role. I am a little weary of its offensive prowess, kind of relying on foul play or toxic. I haven't delved deep into its move pool to see, hey, can we run some tricks? Does it get counter or mirror coat or something to really help us out? But I think Umbreon was a good enough choice. So Ditto, that was a placeholder. Scizor also left us without a bug type. You don't need a bug type, they're kind of weak. But I like the ability to Intimidate a lot. I think it's really good. Obviously there's counterplay to it, but in a draft league you're able to recognize that and say, oh, I should not bring my Intimidators, or not run Intimidate on them. So Masquerain filled a really cool role. So Mega Scizor doesn't rely on its speed at all because of Bullet Punch. And anything else that stands in its way that resists it, usually you might be able to knock off faster or something. Maybe not always the case, but then you're playing a different game. So Masquerain gave us an option of A, Intimidate, and B, because Mega Gardevoir does not have the priority like Mega Scizor does, it can set up sticky webs, which is a really useful tool in allowing our team to go even faster. If you look at the stats of our team, the highest speed we have is 100. We have a few 95s in Electivire and Arcanine and Zygarde, and then we have 2 100s with Gardevoir and Celebi, but the rest of our team doesn't really go that fast, right? So Masquerain really enables those Pokemon to make the most of it. So I thought that was a really, really important pickup in the draft at that point. So next we have Jellicent. This is kind of, if you've played in a draft league with me, which if you're watching this, you probably haven't yet, unless you're from one of my old draft leagues. So Jellicent is like my staple mon, right? It's a bulky water type with access to recover. It can Will-O-Wisp. It's disgusting. It's so fat. And it's just so fat and so cute, and I love it. It has a myriad of types of moves it can use, although you kind of stick to similar moveset each week. and it can do a good job of shutting down a lot of Pokemon. Maeve, do you have any thoughts on my wonderful Jellicent?
My main thought is that you got to pick your Staplemon and you refused to let me get Sableye. But other than that, I've never actually really used Jellicent, so I think one thing I'm really excited about is to kind of see a mon that I've never really used in an actual kind of competitive way. Which I think a lot of this whole singles tournament for me is kind of learning a whole entirely different strategy, because I'm terrible at doubles. I'm even worse at singles. So we're gonna find out, but I mean, I've learned a lot already, just even with the draft, and even just Jake being like, no, that's a dumb pick, and here's why, if I recommend him on.
I'm kind of harsh.
But that's the way I need to hear it. Like, if someone's like, well, that might not be a good idea, like, in my head, I'll still be like, but it could be a good idea.
Yeah, I'm very black and white with things, no pun intended, about Pokemon.
Hey guys, check out Jake's Black and White stream.
Oh yeah, I'm doing that now. I'm streaming Pokemon White every Wednesday, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern time.
Self-promo.
I mean, it's on my channel. What the?
No, I know. Okay.
I'm promoting myself all day long. So after that, we were like, let's take a step back from the Pokemon and draft this Z Crystal, because if we don't get a good one, that could be the end of the world. And I've actually never done a Z Crystal draft.
This Z Crystal was actually my idea, I do have to jump in here and say. So this is the third good call I've made in this draft, and I think that's about all of them. Don't try and double. Don't.
No, I think Electivire may have come up with you.
No, I think that was you. But we did look at Groundium Z, and the only reason I think that I said it was I was looking at our original draft order, and our original draft order had a ton of ground type users. So I said, what if we do Ground Z, because we were thinking it, and he's never done a Z Crystal draft, and I've never done a singles league, so it was something that I thought gelled really well with our team. But I mean, you have better idea of what it could be used for. We have a lot of options with it.
Yeah, so Groundium Z, obviously looking at our team, you're like, yeah, you use that on Zygarde. What, am I fucking stupid? And like, yeah, you're not fucking stupid, you use it on Zygarde. But did you know? Arcanine gets Bulldoze and Dig, which can be used to use one-time use strong ground moves. Did you know Masquerain gets Mud Shot? What if we wanted to run a Quiver Dance set, and the only thing blocking us from doing that was a pesky Steel type that got in our way, but now we have a Ground Z Masquerain? What about Rhydon, who definitely wants to drop its Eviolite to run Groundium Z? What about Electivire, which is fucking awesome. I love Electivire, which gets access to Earthquake and wants to run it. What about Pangoro, which has access to Mold Breaker as an ability, and things like Electros? It's going to be able to just use Ground Z on and blow up because it doesn't give a fuck about Levitate. Did I say Celebi? No. I think one of the biggest things was Celebi stood out to me. So Celebi, with its Grass and Psychic typing, also gets kind of boned by your average Steel type. But bada bing bada boom, here comes Earth Power. Oh, that's not very strong. Boom shakalaka, here comes my 100 and something base power Ground Z off of a nasty plot. Look at me, I am the Onion Fairy, here to kill. You can't turn back time on that one. So
yeah, I more so looked at the normal typings, like the actual typings of each Pokemon, and then you're like, well, actually, Maeve, almost every mon on our team could run it if we needed to. Like, I think Ground Z fits a lot of different options for a ton of our different matchups, because you know we can't bring all these Pokemon to every single match. So
yeah, and fun fact, I've actually lost to a Ground Z Dig Pokemon. It was a Bisharp, and it was the last thing I anticipated. So I'm like, all right, Morning Sun is my safest play here. If she goes for a Sucker Punch on me, I'm screwed. If it's Life Orb, I don't have enough bulk to take it. I'm Morning Sun, 100% HP. Boom, it goes for the Groundium Z. I'm like, that's Dig. That's fucking Dig. She used that as an out to beat me in that one circumstance, and she beat me. And it was a really, really good tech. So obviously knowing we have Groundium Z kind of puts those shock values at less, but it still gives us a lot of options to run cool stuff. Next pick was Electivire. Every team needs an electric type in draft leagues. I'm very keen on that idea. Electric types kind of deal with a lot of bogus, water types being so abundant and strong, and Electivire having access to Electric Move, Ice Punch, Flamethrower, it can really cover itself to get out of pickles for us. I've used it in a draft league before, and I think it's a really undervalued tier 4 pick.
And especially, I mean, we needed the speed for our team, which was super important. Its abilities that it gets are really useful. Even just, there's a lot of items we could run with it. Again, it's got a really good shiny. We thought it was kind of just good coverage. I think one of our backups for it was Vikavolt.
Yes.
Vikavolt. But we ended up going with Electivire at the end of the day because we both thought it was a better fit.
The reason I actually didn't decide to go with Vikavolt, other than the coverage and the speed, was it was another Rock Week. And we also have Masquerain already. I didn't want the overlap of typings. Some type overlaps can be good. I can't say, oh, you shouldn't have any type overlaps. They can be good. But I don't think a bug type overlap is good, especially when our only defogger is Skarmory. We also have Masquerain to defog, but that is very suboptimal. So hazards weren't a problem for our team. The only thing being weak to them were Masquerain and Arcanine, with a few other things resisting them. So I didn't want to add to that weakness and have to deal with that. So then I went with Rhydon, another, I think, probably the best tier 5 pick you can get. And rock types are another no-nonsense Pokemon. So a lot of teams hate flying types. Flying type spam can be very abundant in draft leagues. And being that electric types aren't the bulkiest, look at Electivire's stats here, 75, 67, 85, like, ugh. You still don't want to take a strong flying type attack, right? Here comes Rhydon to take no damage. Especially with that Eviolite, it just becomes a monster. Not to mention the fact that it not only is it a wall with, I think, 120 or 125 base attack. Oh, 130. Jeez. It rivals some of the hardest hitters, just being able to run Earthquake, Stone Edge, Rock Blast to break substitutes. It can even set up with Swords Dance and Rock Polish if it wants and go to town. And then our last Pokemon was the Pokemon we definitely had the hardest time picking. And I will explain why. So originally I wanted Scrafty, another Intimidator, a really good fighting and dark type coverage, allows us to have a knockoff user, it can set up, it can Drain Punch and be self-sufficient, decent bulk. Again, Intimidate was really key, because we would have had 3 Intimidators on the team. However, the Duck Pals took that from us, and I tried to weasel a trade with them, but they were very adamant in not giving up their Scrafty. So our options at that point were other fighting types. Beware, which got taken before we could even get it, and I was already doubting it because I really wanted that knockoff user. Maeve made me realize, hey, Jake, I know like one thing about singles, and it's that knockoff is really good. I'm like, you're right about that. She's like, what knockoff users do we have in our team? And I'm like, none. It was like, Jake, are you okay? And I'm like, no, I'm not. Does Umbreon get knockoff? No, it doesn't. Why would you run knockoff Umbreon? So I was like, Pangoro is good.
Oh wait, so I made 4 good ideas. Ugh.
Yeah. Pangoro, definitely you influenced.
Yeah, I think we had a couple options for Pangoro, like you said, Beware. We were looking at Virizion for a little bit.
Just for speed on the team.
Only for speed, and that was one of my ideas, but that one got shut down, which was good, because it didn't do anything for us besides add another speed tier above 100. We had... What was it? It was between Pangoro, Beware got taken, and then we had one other.
Hitmontop.
Hitmontop, right.
Hitmontop was really big for a number of reasons. Another Intimidate user, and Rapid Spin. And I said, how badly do we need Rapid Spin? I was thinking to myself. So the two benefits were obviously get rid of rocks, which, looking at our team, we're not that weak to, and pretty much everything has recovery. Zygarde takes resisted damage from it and is bulky as hell. Skarmory, it's literally anti-rocks. Gardevoir can Wish, Arcanine, Morning Sun, Celebi, Recover. Umbreon, Wish, Masquerain takes damage from it, but it's a Masquerain. You're either getting sticky webs up and getting out of there, or setting up to win the game when rocks are gone. Jellicent, Recover. Electivire, doesn't really care. Rhydon, doesn't give a shit. Pangoro, well, we didn't have Pangoro, we were going to pick Hitmontop. So having Intimidate and Rapid Spin were the two main things. And I was like, can this thing set up? Can this thing win games? What does it provide us other than that slight utility? And after slapping myself around for like a day, like 24 hours, while other people were picking, I was like, Maeve, I cannot decide. You're going to have to pick one of the two. And like, I think I just typed out my entire internal conflict of picking.
See, now the funny thing is I definitely would have picked Hitmontop.
Really?
Yeah, I 100% in my mind was like, all right, I'll go for Hitmontop. Because for me, I've never used Pangoro, and in my head, I've always thought of Pangoro as like
a shitmon.
Yeah, I just never thought of it as very good, just personally. I mean, now this is a learning experience for me, so I'm learning a lot. But
yeah,
like I've seen Hitmontop in doubles do very well, which is why in my head I was like, we should do Hitmontop. I know it's good in doubles. I'm sure it's got uses that I would be able to kind of figure out, considering I've seen it in doubles. I've used it barely, like a little teeny tiny bit, and I've never used Pangoro. So that was my gut feeling. But I mean, either way, it
would have been right and it would have been wrong at the same time.
Yeah.
They both did completely different things for the team, despite sharing that fighting type. I picked Pangoro because Maeve made me realize A, knockoff is super important, and B, we didn't really need that utility. We needed a stronger hitter on the team. Hitmontop provided us with a lot of priority, which would have been nice. Pangoro, although, still gets Bullet Punch, so it's not the end of the world. So that rounds out our draft. Typings were obviously get a standard Fire, Water, Grass Core, and Arcanine, Celebi, Jellicent. Get that Fairy, Steel, Dragon Core, which were our first three picks, Zygarde, Skarmory, Gardevoir. And from there, just pick up some good bulk. Umbreon as a Wish Passer and Cleric. Masquerain as Intimidate plus Sticky Webs and a backup sweeper. Rhydon as a Stealth Rock setter, as well as an overall tank. Electivire as kind of a speedy pivot, as well as, not really a wall breaker, but kind of that Pokemon that can break down a bunch of types at once.
Yeah, it can deal with a lot of different electric type switch-ins and all sorts of stuff like that as well.
And Pangoro, which I would consider somewhat of a wall breaker, with that.
It's a mold breaker.
It's a mold breaker, exactly. So real quick, I'm just gonna get into movesets and abilities and all that. Let's exit out of that VGC room real quick. So Gardevoir, obviously, as I mentioned, gets Wish, really good. Healing Wish as well, although less useful. And, well, different use. You get it. Calm Mind, obviously really strong. That Pixelate ability, which got nerfed in Generation 7, but if you're watching that dish, you should know that by now pretty much. Its non-mega ability, being Trace, could be really cool. Could lead to some fun stuff, or could lead to some bad stuff, like if you switch on a Tapu Koko after its terrain is gone, and you set up electric terrain for it, and you cry. But if we look at the special moves real quick, if we run into a Soundproof, we can obviously run Moonblast. Draining Kiss could be goofy. Focus Blast, Grass Knot, Icy Wind, Shadow Ball, Thunderbolt, Stored Power. Just a few cool moves that could be interesting. Definitely going to be a special Pokemon. Destiny Bond Encore, some other cool stuff. It doesn't get Nasty Plot or any other setup move, but I think that's pretty safe. It can definitely run utility with Will-O-Wisp and Thunderwave, but overall probably going to be more of a sweeper. Zygarde. Zygarde gets your standard fare of moves with its famous 1,000 Arrows and Waves, which both do their own thing. Stone Edge to hit those pesky flying types because 1,000 Arrows wasn't enough. Sadly, its only Dragon move is Outrage, so if it's in the case where we really need to... Well, also Dragon Tail. If it's in the case where we need to take down a Mega Laddie, or something of the sort, we're going to be forced to Outrage, and because of that Z-Crystal draft, we're not going to be able to not lock ourselves in, so it can be kind of a dangerous situation, and that's actually one of my qualms with having picked Zygarde in a draft league with Z-Crystal picks, but I just think its ability to set up with Coil and Dragon Dance, and use those to high success Iron Tail for fairies, Superpower for things, Extreme Speed to just take advantage of the speed, priority and just take things out when it gets on the field. It gets Haze apparently.
It's also just fat.
Yeah, it's really fat. Obviously, Power Construct not being legal, otherwise this would be busted. Just a bunch of cool little things. Another Pokemon that's probably going to be run pretty much the same way each week, depending on the team, but can do a bunch of other things. I've seen some cool sets. I've seen people use Camouflage, Toxic 1,000 Waves. Like, there's some cool stuff that you can do with this Pokemon while like utilizing Rest or something to be self-sufficient. And you can use it shiny now, even though we're never going to. This thing's horrendous. Celebi. I'm gonna talk about Celebi real quick. Nasty Plot is really strong, especially on a Pokemon with 100 base speed and 100 in all its stats. Natural Cure in case things get dicey. Baton Pass if we want to pass out to something like Arcanine or Electivire. If Gardevoir can't get a safe switch in and needs that +2 real quick, we can Baton Pass off Calm Minds. We can pass off Swords Dance. Actually, did you know it gets Swords Dance?
I just found out.
Did you know it actually gets a few other cool moves to use with Swords Dance? Do you want me to name
Jake,
some?
tell me all about it.
Do you want me to keep them a secret?
I say keep it a secret. We got a couple trade secrets.
Alright, that will be a secret. But it gets a lot of setup moves, and being that Baton Pass is legal, really cool. Again, Earth Power user. A really cool mod. I love using this Pokemon in draft leagues. And it also gets Stealth Rocks, just in case you need them. Arcanine.
Fast boy, intimidate boy.
I don't even know what to say about this. After looking at our matchups against other teams, this is like our ace in the hole. The fact that this Pokemon was tier 3, I could not be more delighted to have this. It can beat so many things. It can beat Choice Band to just break things down. It can be bulky with Morning Sun and Toxic and Will-O-Wisp. I love Arcanine. It's so good. There's not much else to say. If you want to look at its moveset, go ahead on your own time, but Arcanine can do anything. And I'm so glad we have it. Umbreon, I discussed why we have it.
It's thick.
It's thick. Gets
It's
Baton
thick.
Pass.
It has, Baton Pass. You've got some cleric moves. You've got just that really good dark type switch in. Substitute. You know, all those kind of funky moves that Eevee gets. It gets. So.
Yeah.
Things like all sorts of really funky moves that kind of add a bit of kind of surprise, like, oh, are they gonna run some sort of weird set? You know, there's a lot of different options with it.
I do wish, just thinking about Bisharp as a Pokemon, it's kind of a Pokemon that always scares me, especially with 2 Intimidators on the team. I was like, oh, how are we gonna beat that? And I'm like, does Umbreon get Revenge as a move? It turns out it doesn't. And
does get Retaliate, which hopefully we'll never have to use. We'll 6-0 everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to have that confidence.
I mean, I do have that confidence. But yeah, basically the thickness, the wish into anything on this team and it will appreciate it, right? Masquerain, as I said, sticky web. But also, after its stat buff in this generation, with I think a slightly higher special attack and 20 more speed, Quiver Dance is now viable on it. As I mentioned, it has Mud Shot, so it can actually break through some steel types, and it actually gets a plethora of moves that people wouldn't expect, like Ice Beam and Hydro Pump. So Masquerain...
It's also... Oh, yeah, sorry.
No, go ahead.
It's also another Tailwind user, too. If we really, for some reason, need that extra speed, if Skarmory can't kind of give that to us. It's another way to control speed with both Sticky Webs and Tailwind.
Yeah. I mean, Tailwind isn't that often used in singles, but it definitely is an option, hands down.
Yeah.
I thought we were going to go with another defog option, which it also is, and it gets Haze. So just in case we're in a predicament like that, and we need to get out of it, and they're gone. It's Whirlwind.
That's your Haze noise?
Well, have you seen it? It goes
Yeah, it's like breathing out really slow. Like...
Just take Charizard. Where'd those dragon dances go, dummy? Next up is Rhydon, which is... I love Rhyperior, but one tier down and you got Rhydon, which is a bulkier Pokemon. Sadly, it doesn't have a useful ability. The only ability it can really use... Smogon sets actually say Rockhead, but that's stupid because you're not running Double Edge ever. Same with Reckless being stupid. If they gave this thing Head Smash, I would definitely use one of those abilities. But it doesn't. Still. I think its only move that it gets is Double Edge, or maybe Takedown. Yeah, it gets Takedown, so useful. So Lightning Rod is actually its only useful ability, and only in one case, Maeve. Do you know that case?
I do, it's the team with the 3 electric types.
No, because we're immune to ground.
Oh.
Its only use is if you get a Pokemon that decides to trick you a ring target. Lightning Rod will make you still immune to it, I believe. Or if a Pokemon like Pyukumuku uses Soak and makes you a water type instead of simply attacking you with a water move. I mean, Pyukumuku can't, but I'm thinking more like Tapu Fini. You still get the Lightning Rod, yay! So it will always be Lightning Rod. Its ability is useless. But you know what's not useless? Earthquake.
Me.
You! Also you! It gets so many cool moves. Look at these. I'm just gonna keep scrolling. Look at all these moves. Wow.
So you get Gen 1 Mons, massive move pool.
That
Super
is
useful.
my favorite thing. It gets Horn Drill, you know.
Which we can't use.
Just in case we want to break clauses. It gets Spite. Spite, ladies and gentlemen. Next is Skarmory, which notable moves are Spikes, Stealth Rock, Roost, Whirlwind, Roar. Those are the same moves. Iron Head, Brave Bird, Drill Peck, Counter. Counter's actually cool. Do you get any ground moves, buddy? Oh wow. Wow, it gets
HP
Sand
ground.
Attack. What is Sand Attack Z move? Sand Attack. Let's find out what its Z move turns into. Hey computer. Thank you. I'm powered up with a Z crystal. The user's evasiveness is raised by 1 stage. I don't think that's legal.
We can't use
that. I think Spikes might be like +1 defense or something. I don't feel like looking it up. We can use Mud Slap. No, we're not using Z Skarmory ever. It's a wall.
There's so many more uses for Skarmory than
it's a
Z
wall.
with some bad ground type moves.
Actually gets Sword Stance. But we still won't be using that. Jellicent. I already talked about this. But basically, let's look at its status moves. Acid Armor, if you want to be an asshole.
Asshole armor.
Asshole. Recover. Taunt. You may be laughing like, haha, Jellicent with Taunt, it's 60 base speed, you goober. I actually used it to completely shut down a Snorlax once. It was hilarious. I used Will-O-Wisp, Recover, Scald, Taunt. And it could not beat me because it had Facade Fire Punch. That was funny. Yeah, I couldn't recycle, so I actually had to, I think I ran out of Scald PP. So,
Oh no.
I literally had to Will-O-Wisp burn it down to 50% HP, then it recovered all its HP, then Will-O-Wisp burn it back down to 0, which took
8 years.
way too many turns. But we played it out instead of him forfeiting, so it looked cool. Jellicent's a good Pokemon. You'll find out about its ability later on. Electivire, Motor Drive, which allows us to go fast if we get hit by an electric move, which if a fool is foolish enough to foolishly Fool Bolt us, then we will get a +1 speed and eliminate them. Special moves that it gets are mostly electric moves, but it also gets Psychic, and where's Flamethrower? And Flamethrower, and Focus Blast. Physical side, oh, Volt Switch obviously. Physical side, it gets crazy moves because of that Gen 1 moveset. It gets Cross Chop, it gets Earthquake, it gets Fire Punch, it gets Ice Punch, it gets Iron Tail, it gets Low Kick, it gets Low Sweep, it gets Quick Attack, Rock Slide.
Oh boy. I think almost all of our mons get Quick Attack, but nice call out.
Thank you. It gets so many moves. Basically, it's kind of that jack of all trades. Hits hard enough with a 123. I'm never talking to you again.
Okay.
You'll
win without me. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, but then I won't have fun. 123 base attack, 95 special attack, which is decent enough. 95 speed. Again, bulk is middling. But get an Electivire at the right time and you can do some good shit. And last on the team is Pangoro, which has some crappy bulk. Just looking at it, 95, 78, 71. Pretty crappy speed in 58, but that 124 attack, which may not be the best. But when you pair it with Iron Fist and Mold Breaker, and you have moves like Swords Dance and Bulk Up, and you have all these physical moves to choose from. You have your good old Circle Throw if you want to get something out. You have Bullet Punch for priority and to beat fairies. You have Drain Punch to actually heal yourself back up, especially with Iron Fist. Earthquake to tear open the ground. Fire Punch is pretty cool. Ice Punch. Do you get Thunder Punch? Can I see Thunder Punch? Yes, I can. It gets all the elemental punches. X Scissor if you need to beat those pesky Celebes. Shadow Claw if you need to beat those pesky things that resist, things that are weak to Ghost but not Dark, which is no Pokemon. Knockoff is really important. Poison Jab, Gunk Shot, it gets cool moves. And cool shiny. So overall, I think I'm pretty happy with our team. A lot of cute Pokemon,
welcome.
A lot of cool Pokemon. And I'm looking forward to the season. Definitely looking forward to teaching Maeve all that I know about Pokemon competitively. I have been playing Pokemon competitively for off and on, I think 10 or 11 years. 2007 or 2008 when I started in Diamond. I didn't really follow up again until 2013, so I guess more consistently for 5 years. Almost 6 now. So I'm definitely looking forward to teaching Pokemon to somebody.
And I'm looking forward to learning.
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah. This has been a lot of fun for me though. I'm really excited for this draft. I think all the other teams we're facing, everyone had good drafts. All the teams look fun. Like there isn't any team in there that I'm like, I really just don't want to play. Like I feel like even the ones that look tough to us are also just very interesting. Like I think, especially because this is a fun league and this is like more for glory and pride than for any sort of prize. Like, I think we'll have a lot of fun prepping for teams that we find are a little difficult or anything like that, because there's so many good teams in this draft, and everyone in here has some sort of idea as to what they're doing, clearly, because I don't think anybody really drafted a bad team.
No, I can't say that there's any team that really sticks out to me as an awful team. Like, there are obviously some that are going to be worse than others,
but only really for our matchup. Like, I feel like for especially teams, like, there are teams that look really good, but against what we think what our game plan is, we're like, we could do okay.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of matchup heavy matchups for us to face, and that's some of the challenge. Like, I can look at a team and say, hey, that doesn't look like a very good team cohesively, and then I look at our team compared to it and I'm like, how the fuck are we beating this?
Oh no.
But it's a good thing we get 6 Pokemon, and I sometimes very much focus on what one Pokemon can beat this team, and I'm not gonna think that way. Especially because I've never played a league with a partner. I don't think most people get that opportunity, and I think that's definitely a cool dynamic to this league, with every team having at least 2 coaches. I think 2 teams having 3 coaches, being Just Loafing Around and Duck Pals. Also, I managed to somehow unsort the spreadsheet, which I made. Yay. So, in the description you'll find social media links for me, as well as Maeve. Probably a link to this spreadsheet so you can kind of look at everyone playing. And hopefully I'll actually upload this on time, especially with Maeve pushing me. Hopefully we'll do a draft analysis, or maybe just me do a draft analysis, I'm not sure if you want to, of every team, how I feel about it, strengths and weaknesses that I see. And yeah, anything else to add, Maeve?
I mean, nothing that really strikes my mind. I mean, you really covered everything. Again, this is... If I say anything dumb in our upcoming videos, just know it's because I'm bad. There is no other excuse. It is entirely because I'm bad, but I am learning. This is Pokemon Singles for Dummies, featuring Maeve O'Rourke. So,
alrighty, thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll see you when the season kicks off. Bye.